Yo, what's up? My name's Petrowski, and welcome to my magnum opus, my favorite commander deck of all time, my greatest commander deck, not my most powerful, but my most fun, and I think the one that most represents me and the deck that people know me for, or at least knew me for when I used to play a lot more in paper at local stores. This is Lord of Tresserhorn, a one generic, one blue, one black, and one red Grixis legend from Alliances all the way back in the 90s. And he is technically a zombie lord. A lot of people do play him as a zombie Grixis zombie commander with things like Rooftop Storm. I tried Rooftop Storm in this deck for a little bit, and I eventually moved on from it. It didn't work for me personally because I play this as a combo list. I play this as a commander damage list. I play this as an infect kill list, and I play this list with 10 tutors. And a lot of people hear that and they think that's craziness, that's ridiculous. You know, Commander's all about the RNG, and I think you'll see very soon why my favorite deck of all time is also the Commander deck that plays 10 tutors, which sounds crazy, against the spirit of the format, and I'll get into why I love it so much and why it's so fun. So this is Lord of Tresserhorn. He has 4 mana for a 10/4 power creature with regenerate for only 1 black mana. However, there's this big line of text here that has a massive downside, very similar to Phyrexian Dreadnought, my favorite card of all time, and the deck that I play in Legacy, Stiflenought. When Lord of Tresserhorn comes into play, you must pay 2 life, sacrifice 2 creatures, and target opponent draws 2 cards. Effects that prevent or redirect damage cannot be used to counter this loss of life. That's whatever. You can pay 2 life in Commander, not a big deal. Easily the hardest part of this cost, by far, is sacrifice 2 creatures. This can be it's already a 3-for-1. If this comes down, you are 3-for-1ing yourself. You're, if anything, you're paying mana, you're paying life, you're sacrificing 2 creatures, and you're letting a player draw 2 cards, right? You're doing a lot of things to get T-Lord into play for a 4-mana 10/4, which is a stat line that we're already power creeping on the way to, that like you don't even need this massive to get around this massive restriction nowadays. This is a power crept weak magic card by all standards. But I love it so much, and there's ways to get around this, dodging this line of text. The goal of this deck is to completely ignore this line of text. But because T-Lord is just so fragile, like T-Lord, I call him T-Lord. I've called him T-Lord since for 10 years. I've played this deck since I was 15 years old. That was about 11 years ago. So over a decade of experience piloting and building T-Lord over the years. There's still improvements to be made, but it's been a journey. It's been a lot of fun, and I hope you guys enjoy this long form videos. I just ramble, and I'm just gonna try to talk on every single point that I can about this commander because, number one, I love it. Number two, there's so little online resources for T-Lord. There's so little deck lists, videos. There's not a whole lot of content out there for him. But when it comes to T-Lord, worst case scenario, you play T-Lord, you sacrifice 2 creatures, or what happens is you go to cast T-Lord and someone go and kills one of your creatures in response. If you have 2 creatures on the battlefield and someone, Murderous Cuts, Path of Exiles, Swords to Plowshares, whatever, kills one of your creatures, now you have to sacrifice T-Lord. If you only have one other creature by the time he comes in, right? So he can sacrifice himself very easily if people play around with interaction. Interaction is a nightmare for T-Lord. It's not what you want to see. It's how to put this deck out of the game, honestly, for many, many turns. And that's why I have to play this deck when I do very carefully. This deck, for all intents and purposes, and we'll go through each individual card, don't worry, and I'll have an online digital deck list in the description as well. It's going to be a very, very in-depth video. Let me just start with the basics. I play this deck from a philosophy standpoint of looking weak and looking frail, and I'm just gathering my resources, and my resources are usually very minimal. Things like signets, things like mirrors, like an alloy mirror over here, right? You put these in the battlefield, you sculpt your hand with things like standstill, things like dig through time. The goal of this deck is to sculpt your hand and do almost nothing on the battlefield, except for maybe play Torpor, but do almost nothing for the first 4 to 6 turns of the game. You're just sculpting, right? And then you win out of nowhere. That's what this deck does. And not everybody likes that. I try to be upfront. This deck does win with Infect. I'm a 10 power creature that 3-for-1s myself in the best case scenario, right? You have to play the advantages you can with T-Lord. I usually, if I sit down with a pot of strangers, I tell people, hey, this deck does play Infect. Like, you know, don't feel bad to swing at me. I tell people, if I'm sitting over there doing nothing for 5-6 turns, you can kill me. It's okay. If I've not played a creature, you should abuse that weakness. Don't feel guilty because I'm not playing any creatures, because something's gonna happen where I'm gonna cast an Insurrection, or I'm gonna build my resources and then pop up out of nowhere. You know, play T-Lord in one turn, give him haste, give him Infect, kill you, or, you know, take an extra turn, like do these crazy things. So don't feel bad about killing me. My deck is weak. I do think this deck is genuinely a very weak commander deck. Not very weak. Like over time, it's, if I were to rate it on a power scale of the classic, you know, 1 to 10 power scale, it's probably a 6. It's probably a 6 in my personal opinion. Maybe maybe even a 5. It really comes down to what kind of pod. Probably a 5. Probably a 5 or a 6. But yeah, T-Lord is high risk, high reward. The more people that know what I'm doing and know how to stop me, is a harder for me to operate, and you have to, it's all about solving the puzzle. This deck wants to do a similar thing, if not the same thing, every game, which is not usually fun for a lot of commander players. I love it because you are slightly adjusting every game. You know, do I hold up my Muddle of Mixture as the counter spell? Do I need my Salumgar's command to do a double play and interact? Timing when you go for Torpor Orb is the most skill expressive thing in this deck, and it's the most fun thing. This deck is solving the same puzzle every game, but you are solving it in a different way every single game, and it's so fun. So you still get that different, every game is different. Every game is so different with T-Lord, even though if you're doing the same thing of killing your opponent with commander damage, or killing them with Infect, or killing the whole table all at once with my favorite combo in the entire deck. There's one combo in the entire deck that does kill everybody. Absolutely everybody. Now, I play 2 Infect cards. I play Tainted Strike and I play Pheresis. Tainted Strike is a 1 black instant that gives T-Lord +1/+0 in Infect. And then Pheresis is a 2 mana enchantment that just gives him Infect, same thing. And then I also run Chandra's Ignition, which reads, it's 3 mana and 2 red. So it's a 5 mana sorcery. 5 mana sorcery, plus I have to give him Infect, plus I have to resolve T-Lord on the battlefield. You could kill T-Lord in response. You could counter. There's so many ways to stop this, right? There's so much interaction here. But Chandra's Ignition reads, target creature you control deals damage equal to its power to each other creature and each opponent. This does not deal commander damage, so you have to keep that in mind. Like, non-combat damage like this is not commander, but if he has Infect, it deals exactly 10 Infect to everyone at the table except for yourself. And that is easily the most fun way to win and to come back from behind after such a rough game where you're just doing nothing and dirtling and then eventually you pop off, right? So I have the decks organized in a very, very specific way. I have like isolated self-sustaining cards up here. We'll go through each category and talk about them one by one. I'm just trying to touch on the core fundamentals of the deck first. I have kill spells and 1 board wipe, only 1 Blasphemous Act over here. I have card draw over here, which you don't see a whole lot of card draw. It's like, what, 4 card draw spells? 5 card draw spells. That seems like very little, but that's because we have the Tutor suite. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and I believe there is one other tutor in a different, Muddle of Mixture counts as a tutor. 10 tutors in the deck, and we'll go over each of them in great detail here in a quick sec. Protection and counter spells over here. Combo pieces. These are all combo pieces and ways to help T-Lord kill our opponents. These are mana rocks and ways to accelerate. And here's our main combo. Our main combo is T-Lord plus a way to get T-Lord into the play. So let's just start with that. We'll get over to mana base and stuff as well. Utility lands are very, very important for T-Lord, as well as my mana base is not perfect. This deck is not perfect. You could absolutely make upgrades. An easy one is Hall of the Bandit Lord. Hall of the Bandit Lord would go amazing in this deck. Or Arena of Glory, the new red, newer over the past Modern Horizons 3 or whatever, red land that you can tap to exert it and give a creature haste. But here are the main Torpor Orb. I have a foil Torpor Orb from New Phyrexia. This is the bread and butter. This is the card you want to. This is the card I'm tutoring for 99% of the time. The whole deck revolves around this card. If this card gets removed, if you play it too early, if you play it incorrectly, if you put on the top of your library at the wrong time with a certain tutor and someone mills you, you need to protect Torpor Orb. A huge part of this deck is playing Torpor Orb well. And also, it's a political... There's so many things. Torpor Orb is just so crucial to this deck. And it's also very scary and very political. Torpor Orb is a 2-mana artifact that says creatures entering the battlefield don't cause abilities to trigger. That is all creatures, not just yours. Now, I play Torpor Orb to help me play my Lord Tresserhorn without 3-for-1ing myself, right? Like, you're just playing this to get your own stuff into play. You're not trying to disrupt your opponents, but you're going to. And it's really important. Every time I play Commander with Torpor Orb, I always tell people, hey, like, this is a political deck. You have to, it's somewhat social, right? I mean, Commander's a social game. I always tell people, I'm not trying to disrupt you with Torpor Orb. I'm so sorry. You know, I'm not trying to fuck you with Torpor Orb. I'm really not. The amount of people that try to Reclamation Sage Torpor Orb, for example, that happens a ton. If you don't know, Reclamation Sage is the elf 3 mana 2/1 that says when it enters the battlefield, destroy sacred artifact or enchantment. Torpor Orb stops the ETB. You cannot kill Torpor Orb with ETB effects like that, like Reclamation Sage, which is a very, very commonly played removal to artifacts and enchantments while leaving behind a creature body for those creature decks. So Torpor Orb bothers a lot of people. When you think about it, so much of the fun, blink decks, so many commanders have value ETBs. People do not like their ETBs being stopped. It's not a fun thing. So I always try to say, hey, I'm just playing Torpor Orb for 1 turn cycle. I'm just trying to play my commander next turn without killing myself in the process. If you want to get rid of it after, that's totally okay. I'm not here to disrupt you. That's not what this is about. It's not a prison deck, right? And usually people are cool with that. Usually it's like, they're like, you know what, I get that, I'm playing a bad commander. They see it as a bad commander, so they give me a little bit of leeway. I'm gonna be honest. It's a little bit of a little snaky. I have to be honest. This deck is a little snaky. I try to be as honest and earnest as possible, but it's a little snaky where I'm like, I play a bad character, a bad commander, a bad card, and then all of a sudden we get to turn, 8, and I go from nothing on board to killing everybody. And it's a lot of fun. And I try to be honest about it and you don't want people to be so disappointed. We're like, oh, they're caught off guard. So I try to say the infect and yada yada and just play smart, play well. But that's Torpor Orb. That's our main card. We are tutoring that with all sorts of things. Tribute Mage is in the deck to tutor for that. We'll get to all the tutors in more detail in a quick sec. But we also have Stifle, which is a instant 1 blue counter target activated or triggered ability. This could be used to play T-Lord. This could be used to stop combos. This could be used to stop ETBs, stop Planeswalker activations, stop strip mines. Stifle is so unique of a magic card, and it's so powerful. Speaking of unique and powerful magic cards, Trick Bind, 1 in a blue instant, does the same thing as Stifle. Counter target activated or triggered ability. If the permanent ability is countered this way, activated abilities, the permanent can't be played this turn, but mana abilities can't be targeted. But this has Split Second, which says as long as the spell is on the stack, players can't play spells or activate abilities that aren't mana abilities. And it's really important, if permanent ability is countered this way, activated abilities of that permanent can't be played this turn. That's really important because there are certain repeatable things, right? There are certain repeatable things that Stifle can stop for a second, but then it can just reactivate it, right? Certain like sacrifice things, things like I can't off the top of my head. I don't know if Food Chain and Ashnod's Altar are classified as mana abilities. I have to go double check, but things like that, which you can just like instantly sacrifice or do over and over and over again, even if you stifle an Ashnod's Altar activation, if that's possible. I have to go double check. So apologies, I don't know that ruling off the top of my head. It doesn't. You could just do it again, versus Trick Bind is going to shut it down for the whole turn and potentially time walk your opponent, as well as giving you the ability to get T-Lord into play. Trick Bind is a little rough because it's 2 mana, but it's relevant. So that's our main 3. We also have over here Dress Down, a new addition to the deck, a newer card. Dress Down, 2 mana enchantment. This card is bonkers. This card is insane. I don't know why this card isn't played more in both Legacy and in Commander. For those who don't know, a lot of my experience from Magic comes from Legacy, but I played Commander for a little bit longer than Legacy, but I take Legacy more seriously, obviously. But Dress Down, 2 mana, enchantment, 1 in a blue with flash. So an enchantment with flash. So it's basically an instant speed thing. When it enters, you draw a card. So you filter, which is really important in a deck like this, which is constantly trying to dig deeper and deeper and get to Torpor Orb. Creatures lose all abilities, and at the beginning of the end step, sacrifice Dress Down, okay? At the beginning of the end step is really important as well. Because you can, basically, if your opponent goes to their end step and someone responds to something at their end step, you can then Dress Down in response to that. You're no longer at the beginning of the end step. You can respond to that, have dress down in, and then go to your turn and untap and have full mana access, right? So you can dress down on your opponent's end step essentially, and have this as like a preemptive torpor for your turn. You'll sacrifice it at your end step, or casting dress down in response to a natural order or in response to a Crater Hoof Behemoth feels so good. If your opponent goes to play Crater Hoof Behemoth and you play dress down, you are making that Crater Hoof lose all of its abilities, lose that ETB. This can just get some players and just really wipe things out. It can stop combos. It can stop swinging and kill turns, while also a lot of this stuff is enabling T-Lord while also stopping your opponent or disrupting your opponent, having that option, even though you don't want to become the enemy with this deck. This deck is not about being flashy, and it's not about, you know, ramping and being a big green deck that plays lots of scary stuff. This deck is meant to be as non-intimidating as possible until it's time. It is a smart deck where you want to play. You have to play it smart. You have to play it. You have to look weak, and then actually be strong. Kind of a Trojan horse type thing. So we also have Kasmina here. So Kasmina is the weirdest one in this pile. She just helps T-Lord get into play on her own because she is a 4-mana planeswalker that does everything this deck wants to do. Spells your opponent's cast that target a creature or planeswalker control costs 2 more to cast. So she gives T-Lord protection. She also, she has a 5 loyalty planeswalker. You can -2 her to create a 2/2 blue wizard. So if you -2 her twice, you know, in 2 turns, you create the 2 creatures you need to sacrifice to T-Lord if you, as an emergency backup plan. It's pretty rare, but sometimes you have to emergency backup plan, sacrifice things to get T-Lord. Sometimes you don't get Torpor Orb. Sometimes you don't get Stifle or Trick Bind or whatever. And you have to go with the 3-for-1. So this card, in one card, creating 2 bodies is super nice, as well as it draws a card and discards a card, which is super relevant. Digging and filtering, and you're trying to combo out. It's a combo deck. It's absolutely a combo deck, while also offering protection. This card just, everything this card does is what T-Lord wants to do. So that is the get T-Lord into play package. Covered T-Lord itself. Let's next cover Tutors. I think they're the next most interesting thing. And then we have, actually, let's do combo stuff first. Well, that's Tutors. Let's do combo pieces. So we've covered, because we'll do like chronological game plan, right? Step 1 is to build up resources, get T-Lord into play, and then you want to kill your opponent. These are how you kill your opponent, which we have a fair bit of. So first things first, Whisper Silk Cloak, you know, classic 3-mana artifact, 2 equip. It makes T-Lord unblockable, but it also gives him Shroud. This can be a negative. This deck should have Lava Spur Boots. Like, it is actually crucial that this deck should have Lava Spur Boots. It's not like it's like kind of, no. Lava Spur Boots is actually so important in this deck because, once again, just as it's important for like Infect to be as good because of his 10 power, giving T-Lord 1 more power, 1 more, is so important because commander damage is 21, right? It's the worst situation when I swing at someone twice with T-Lord across 2 turns and I have them at 20 commander damage and they still don't die. That is a shitty situation. You don't want to swing at that person a 3rd time for that 1 extra damage. That is a shitty situation. You never want that. If you're doing that, you're probably losing. So you could replace it with Lava Spur Boots. The Shroud is really powerful and sometimes helps you just get through when you really, really need to. This card is one of the wonkiest cards in the list, but it sucks that Shroud... So Shroud is not hexproof. It makes it so that creature cannot be targeted by spells or abilities at all, even your own. You cannot expedite this. You cannot slip through space it. You cannot equip it with other artifacts while this is on the field. You know, this is all or nothing. So you have to play careful and play smart with Cloak. Seize the Day. This card is a fucking all-star. It's amazing. I'm so glad I got this copy, you know, way back in the day from Odyssey. 4 mana. I love the little symbol. Lets you know it has flash, but it has graveyard interaction. So it's 4 mana. Untap target creature. So it's an extra combat spell, but only for 1 creature. But it costs less mana, which is perfect for T-Lord. I'm not attacking out. I'm not doing a big swing. I just want 1. I just need T-Lord. After this phase, there's an additional combat phase followed by an additional main phase, and you can flash it back. So it is a extra. Also, because the flashback cost is lower, it's very. There's 2 things. There's times where I play this card, get an extra combat, you know, kill 1 opponent, Or, I mean, you can theoretically, you could have T-Lord on the battlefield, give him infect, kill one person, play this, kill another, flash it back, kill a third. I definitely have done that a time or two. It's pretty rare. Usually you're using this to like take out one or two and then hopefully leave the weakest so you can take them out next turn. Or you're discarding this to something like Kasmina, right? The discard and draw card. You're discarding this to get the cheaper mana cost, which the mana cost, like the deck's mana is you're trying to stay as low as possible. This is a very low to the ground deck. The highest mana cost thing is, I mean, definitely Insurrection at 8 mana. That's a pretty niche one. That's like a last ditch effort sort of thing. Most of the deck is probably 2 to 3 CMC. The CMC is pretty low on average, I'd say. Not quite 1-drops all over the place, but it's pretty lower for Commander. Uncaged Fury, a weird card. Like, what is this, like? Is it a budget option? Like, what you're probably asking, like, why Uncaged Fury? It's 3 mana, 2 and a red. Shadows over Innistrad, common. Target creature gets +1/+1 and double strike. You just might have noticed what happened, right? And it's an instant, which is super relevant. This card in one card gives the +1/+1 that T-Lord needs and double strike. So T-Lord plus this card just kills someone, right? If I play T-Lord and I attack them and they're like, you know what, no blocks, I play this, now they're dead. Right? Whether you blocked or not against T-Lord could be your last decision. It's really, really important. So that card, that was a big deal for this. When that weird common got printed, it was a big deal. Hammerhand is just nice. It's really cheap. This card has a lot of things, honestly. I think it gives haste as well. This card gives a lot of stuff. Yeah, it's just a really nice haste enabler. Hammerhand, one red mana, enchantment. When it enters the battlefield, target creature can't block this turn. This is often either giving T-Lord unblockable or putting your opponent in a situation where like they don't want to block with their commander, so you choose like the 1/1 token they have to make it can't block, and then you can swing through, and they'd probably rather just take the damage than lose their commander, so they do something like that. It gives T-Lord that needed +1/+1, that extra 1 power, as well as giving him haste. And giving T-Lord haste is so important. I'm almost always... You don't just play Torpor Orb on turn 2 or turn 3 and then play T-Lord on turn 4 and then pass. This is a deck where you need to wait. It's better to wait until turn 5 or turn 6, play T-Lord, wait until you have enough mana to play T-Lord to be able to give him haste, have regenerate mana back up, and then go, right? Because this deck is so fragile, I almost never play T-Lord without 1 black mana left up for regenerate. At least 1 regenerate is so important to have up, and regenerate is so good. If they have the swords, if they have the path, fair enough. And I will adjust based on what color decks I'm playing against. But you gotta at least have 1 regenerate buffer up. The 1 black regenerate. That's why when we get to basic lands, swamps are the most important basic land in this deck, because you gotta have black mana is more important than all the other mana types in this deck. But continuing on, Phyresis. A beautiful foil Phyresis. Got way back in the day from like Mirrodin Besieged or whatever. 1 in a black, enchantment aura. Really simple. Enchanted creature has infect. That's it. Cloak of Mists. Kind of a funny card. This might be replaceable nowadays. I've just had this forever. From Urza Saga. 1 in a blue. Creature is unblockable. That's it. Obviously we have Aqueous Form, which is better. But there's probably nowadays is like another 1 mana blue. If there's a new 1 mana blue unblockable enchantment, let me know. Aside from Aqueous Form, because I bet there is. I do play Slip Through Space, which I love so much. Or if there's even like Instant, it doesn't have to be permanent like Cloak of Mist, but I do like the more permanent stuff. But it depends. Swiftfoot Boots. Do I have to explain this? It's pretty classic. It does a lot of things that T-Lord needs. It gives him haste for 1 mana. It gives him hexproof. You're playing that in the early turns, your early setup turns. Tainted Strike, one of the most, we've already talked about Tainted Strike and Chandra's Ignition. Really important. Tainted Strike is the meanest card in this deck, and I don't feel amazing about it. I feel a little bad every time I unexpectedly kill someone with it. I try to warn people. I try to say, hey, I have instant speed at infect, right? So if I ever attack you with T-Lord and it looks like 10 damage, just know I might have the infect card, okay? I might have it. And I try to tell people that because, or I'll often tutor for this. This is one of my, if I already have Torpor Orb, if I've already, I have 10 tutors, I often end up with 2 tutors sometimes. Torpor Orb, and then Tandem Strike. Tandem Strike is the next card that I tutor for, so it is. I often have it. Okay, so if you ever play me, just play around it. Don't be afraid to kill bully T-Lord. Okay, don't be afraid. It's okay. It happens. And then Chandra's Ignition. Now it is very reasonable to Chandra's Ignition, even if you don't have Infect. Right? You're still doing 10 damage. You're still wiping the board, possibly clearing an attack for you with T-Lord, while also. Because each other creature, which is Chandra's Edition is so perfect for this deck. It's such a great card. I'm so glad it's finally getting like I feel like over the years this was like a 25-cent card for so long. I think it's finally getting the love it deserves. And going up in price. It's a great card. Really unique. Slip Through Space, and I think I used to play Expedite. I think I might have gotten rid of it. Yeah, I think there's too many other like haste effects that have all other things that I need aside from just the draw. But Slip Through Space is beautiful. 1 blue mana, Slip Through Space. It is colorless. It's devoid if that ever comes up. If someone has one that says, counter target blue spell, or it can come up. Character can't be blocked this turn. Draw a card. I loved this Oath of the Gatewatch era of Expedite and Slip Through Space and Storm Chaser Mage. That is an era of cards is really cool. Very new addition to the deck. And there's a lot of cards in here that I'm going to be honest with you guys and say, like, I don't know if this is the perfect card for the deck. This used to be something. What was this? I forget. I think this was at one point it was Hammer of Perforos. Way back in the day it was Hammer of Perforos because it was 3 mana. All your creatures have haste, and then you also could create golems by sacrificing lands, which sometimes you might need to do to play T-Lord, which really sucks. You don't want to have to be in that position, but could do it. This card is a new card from the Lord of the Rings set. Fucking perfect for T-Lord. 2 in a red, an enchantment that's to the battlefield. Creatures you control have haste, and legendary creatures you control get that +1/+0. I love that T-Lord plays in a way that is so different than any other. I play a lot of commander damage, Voltron decks, right? He plays in a way that is so unique. It's so different than anything else because he just needs that one more, and he just needs Infect, and he just needs a little bit more. He's the ultimate underdog, almost there sort of character. Assault Strobe is just super efficient. 1 red mana, target against double strike. This is a sorcery. This is the only card in Magic, I believe, that I know of that's 1 mana to give double strike, but it's a sorcery that is super, super relevant. If you cast Assault Strobe on T-Lord and someone goes to kill him, when you regenerate T-Lord, a lot of people don't know, regenerate brings the creature back tapped. If you're already tapped and attacking, you still are in combat, you still do damage or whatever. But if you cast this at sorcery speed, main phase 1, which you have to do, and then someone kills T-Lord, it's the same thing as countering the spell, because now he's tapped, now he can't attack. Even if he has double strike, he can't attack, right? Unless you find a way to, like, untap him with Seize the Day. So there still is interaction there, but yeah, extra combats. Beautiful, another amazing commander card that was so underrated back in the day. When someone recommended me this card, I was like, wow, that's beautiful and perfect for commander. Psychotic Fury, 1 in a red, target multicolored creature gains double strike. So it kind of has to be your commander, or certain. It's just T-Lord, right? And then draw a card. So it's double strike and draw a card, which is so nice that replaces itself. And then I think the best double strike card ever printed, Temur Battle Rage, 1 in a red, target creature gains double strike. And if you control a creature with power 4 or greater, it also gets trample. You always have that. You always have Ferocious. If you're casting this on T-Lord, it's never a problem. Aqueous Form, probably the best unblockable interaction we have in 1 blue. Aqueous Form enchantment. Creature can't be blocked when enchanted creature attacks. Scry 1. The Scry 1 is super relevant. Once again, this deck often needs just one more thing. And then I love this card. Oh, I love this card so much. I remember this card. I had a version of this card that spiked super high in value. Now it's like $5, super cheap. Is this the best commander card? No. Is it the most fucking fun commander card? You damn right it is. Last Chance. This is the most lay epic fucking, anime moment that what this deck is all about. This deck is all about this philosophy, this playstyle. Last Chance. 2 red, sorcery, mythic. Take an extra turn after this one. At the beginning of that turn's end step, you lose the game. There are so many times in this deck, 2 mana for extra turn. There's so many times where I just need one more turn. Tutoring for this in situations where I need it is so amazing. This card is beautiful. It's fun. I've never seen an opponent who is mad to losing to this. They're like, fuck it, that's awesome. Like, yeah, you either win or I lose. Like, you know, maybe I have one kill spell in hand. Like, I have lost to this. I think I've definitely won with this more than I've lost to it, but it's probably close. You want to be safe. You can't just play this willy-nilly, obviously. You have to play this. A lot of this deck, you have to, it's a skill deck. You have to learn and practice it for a lot, but, yeah, this is just, it's such a fun card. Just play more Last Chance when you can in your decks. It's so fun. Don't play it in like Maelstrom Wanderer because then you cascade into it. Not that I would ever do that or know that, but yeah, it's a lot of fun. All right, where should we head to next? Let's go to, so we covered combo pieces. We'll turn sideways the ones we've covered. We've covered combo pieces. We've covered ways to get T-Lord in. Let's go ahead and cover tutors. I do play 10 tutors. I move the Muddle of Mixture. It's protection and a tutor because Muddle of Mixture is counter target instant or sorcery, which are usually your kill spells, you know. That's usually it's 2 mana. It's also like pretty efficient for that. Like 2 mana instant, counter target instant or sorcery. Or you could transmute it for 3 mana. Discard this card, search your library for a card with the same converted mana cost as this card, and put it into your hand. Play it only as a sorcery. You could grab Torpor Orb. It's 2 mana. You could grab Torpor Orb. You could grab Phyresis. You could grab, you know, a Leaden Mirror or something if you need Arcane Signet if you need to mana fix. There's a lot of cool stuff you can grab with this that is super relevant. Cloak of Mist. It's relevant to have a 2 mana unblockable thing because you can't always just tutor for everything. So having Muddle of Mixture is one of the best upgrades to this deck. Had it forever. Tribute Mage, pretty simple. 2 and a blue. It's a 2 and a blue 2/2. When it enters the battlefield, you may search your library for an artifact card with CMC 2 only, 2 specifically. Reveal that card, put it in your hand, and then shuffle your library. You're grabbing Torpor Orb or probably Liquid Metal Torque, which allows you to turn something into an artifact, and then you can you're either grabbing Mana Ramp, Arcane Signet, one of the other Signets, a Mirror. You're grabbing Torpor Orb 99% of the time, but sometimes you might be grabbing something else. There's not too many alternative targets for that, but you can do the Liquid Metal Torque, turn something into an artifact, and then kill it with Rakdos Charm. That is very much a real live thing that this deck does. But Tribute Mage is usually just a body that grabs Torpor Orb. The only awkward thing is this is kind of a dead draw if you already have Torpor Orb on the battlefield, like a lot of these tutors kind of are, but it depends, right? This one especially, though, because with Torpor on the battlefield, it stops the ETB. So if you already have Torpor Orb and it's in play, you're just playing this as a 3 mana 2/2, right? So this is but it's just too good. You want the specific Torpor Orb, because also sometimes you tutor for Torpor Orb, someone kills the Torpor Orb, you still have this body. Now you can just play one other creature or find another creature, and you can play Torpor Orb just the legitimate way without Torpor, or play T-Lord the hard way without Torpor Orb. So it's a good card. I really like Tribute Mage here. Demonic Tutor. Hilariously, I didn't have Demonic Tutor in this deck until this year. I just never bought one. Never. This was a budget deck for so long. I think even now, after playing this deck for 10 years, I think this deck is like $200 to $400, you know, over 11 years, sorry. For a while, this was a $50 deck, I'm pretty sure, for the longest time. When I was 15, 14, 16 playing Commander, like $50 was what I had. Not even a, $5 here and there, skip lunch at school, save up sort of situation. Nowadays, I'm 26, 27 almost. Could buy a Demonic Tutor. It's $30. 20, I think it was like 24. It was a really good deal. It's not a big deal. Could grab any card, right? Dark Petition, really relevant. Is a little awkward in this deck because often you want to. It's kind of awkward. You get Spell Mastery pretty easily, which if you don't, let's just read it. Dark Petition, 5 mana. This was played in Legacy Storm for a while, for a little bit. Dark Petition, 5 mana. This card came out, was a really big deal. It tutors for any card. 5 mana tutor for a card. That's terrible. Well, if there are 2 or more instant or sorceries in your graveyard, you add triple black to your mana pool. This can be a backup Demonic Tutor, very relevantly, but you have to be able to spend the mana efficiently, which is usually you're tutoring for Torpor Orb and playing it with usually you're just using the 3 black mana to play Torpor Orb, and then either using the black mana plus, if you manage to have a bunch of other mana, maybe you can play T-Lord afterwards, but usually that's kind of tough. That's kind of stretching it at that point. So Dark Petition. Fabricate, just tutors for any artifact. Sorcery speed, 2 and a blue. Pretty simple. pretty classic. That's it. Just get an artifact, usually Torpor Orb. Most of our tutors, it looks like I'm tutoring for the same combo every time, but like usually it's just Torpor Orb. This deck is unplayable without Torpor Orb, and your opponents will know that if they're, you know, above room temp IQ and have played you a handful of times, you know. Maybe not the first few games, but after 3 games or so, people get it, you know. And I try to be upfront and tell them. War of Invention. I just opened this in the pre-release in 2017. I just never got rid of it, thankfully. 3 mana, X, instant with Improvise. The Improvise can be relevant. Your artifacts can help cast this spell. You can tap them. It's not often relevant. Most of our artifacts are, I think maybe literally all of our artifacts are actually mana rocks. So honestly, you can use if your mirrors have summoning sickness, you could actually improvise and still use them to tap for mana. So that's kind of a thing, but usually you're just using this for your 5 mana. The triple blue is a little tough in this deck, but you get it done. You're just trying to do 5 mana, instant speed at your opponent's end step, put Torpor Orb onto the battlefield, or in response to a Crater Hoof, or in response to a giant, you know, ETB creature, instant speed Torpor Orb is pretty good. So I do really like War of Invention. I thought about taking it out of this deck a few times, but I think the instant speed Torpor Orb is actually like hyper relevant. A few more tutors. This one's one of our lands as well, Waterlogged Teaching. It's one of the new MDFCs. Search your library for an instant card or a card with flash. This could grab Dress Down. So this can tutor for Dress Down to help you get your T-Lord into play. Or it could tutor a land. If for some reason you needed to like tutor, I guess you would never use like this land to tutor for this land, but you can tutor for like other MDFCs or cards with flash, not just instants. Often I am using this to tutor for usually War of Invention or probably Muddle the Mixture most of the time. I'm usually using this to tutor for something else to grab Torpor Orb, or just using this to grab Tainted Strike. Mystical Tutor, used to grab other things to grab Torpor Orb, usually, or Tainted Strike. 1 blue mana, instant speed, search your library for an instant or sorcery card, reveal a card, put it on the top of your library. So you have to be careful. You don't want your stuff to get milled. Diabolic Tutor. I just love this art. It's an inefficient tutor. It's beautiful. Got a cool snake on it. 2 and 2 black. 9th edition. Search your library for a card, put it in your hand. Really simple. This is Liliana. I am a bad Magic player because I honestly couldn't tell you all of her modes off the top of my head. The main thing I know, and the only reason I use her, and I haven't played her in a real match, I don't think yet. She's new to the deck. Her -2. Her -2 is search your library for it's a tutor. She's 5 mana, 5 loyalty. Her -2 is tutor for a card, put it into your hand, I believe. It might be on the top. I have to double check. I usually just pull these cards up on my phone if I most cards in competitive, I'll be honest, like in competitive decks like Legacy, I know my shit. I usually like know the cards like really well. In Commander, if I have foreign cards, I love foreign cards. I'm a little more lax about knowing stuff. I don't mind doodling stuff before but if that's like a tournament, I'd probably switch it out for like an English card or just really learn the card. But this is one I haven't practiced with enough, so don't hate me too much for playing with a foreign card and not knowing exactly what it always does. Usually I do for tournaments, or I definitely do for tournaments, but I'll be honest. I don't always know for this one, so I think it's Liliana Vess. I could even be wrong on that, which would be really embarrassing. But 5 mana. The important thing, you get 2 tutors out of it. The important thing here is you're paying 5 mana. You're -2ing it to grab Torpor Orb, and then hoping it lives, and then -2ing it to grab Tainted Strike or Phyresis. So it's like an instant. Or if you already have Torpor Orb, you could use it to tutor for Tainted Strike and then tutor for Chandra's Ignition, right? So you could. We often need multiple tutors in this deck to win. So one card representing multiple tutors is really relevant. But that is new and experimental, and it could get taken out of the deck. So keep that in mind. Okay, next up, Protection. Also a new card, the MDFCs. 2 T-Lord. This is the new Hydroelectric Specimen. I used to play Mizium Meddler in this deck way back in the day. 2 and a blue. When it enters the battlefield, you may change the target of instant or sorcery with a single target to this creature. So if someone tries to Path to Exile, Swords to Plowshare, whatever, kill your T-Lord in any way that you don't ever generate access for, or for some reason, like Swords is a great example. If you're going to exile T-Lord, you can't help that with regenerate, so sometimes you need a little extra. And it's also a land. It's also just an island, so it plays as a land and in protection, which is beautiful dual usage. The best counterspell art. Don't even debate it. Don't even argue. It's beautiful counterspell. Not of this world. You know what this card does? You're probably 6'10", very ripped, Giga Chad, very emotionally intelligent, perfect person, okay? True, true, true. Not of this world. 7 mana for a tribal instant Eldrazi. Counter target spell or ability that targets a permanent you control. Or, not of this world costs 7 less to cast if it targets a spell or ability that targets a permanent you control with power 7 or greater. This is a free counter spell to protect T-Lord. And what's really relevant is its spell or ability. If someone tries to tap down T-Lord, if someone plays something like a I believe this would work for the easy one is I use a lot in Legacy. Jace the Mind Sculptor trying to bounce Phyrexian Dreadnought. This stops this when that was meta in Legacy. Or like Teferi, for example, Teferi. This stops Planeswalker activations. It counters target spell or ability to control. If someone tries to play a creature, or an Oblivion Ring that ETBs and it tries to target your T-Lord, you can stop it with this. And the Oblivion Ring will just sit there. So this is, Not of this world is really special. The fact that it counters ability as well is just so special. And it's always going to be free when you're targeting T-Lord, which you should be doing. It's a great card. This deck should also have this deck, unfortunately, should have the new, I'm boomer, so excuse me, but the new commander cards, what's it called? I know there's Deflecting Swat. This deck should have Deflecting Swat. It should have the blue counterspell one that's like, oh, counter thing. If it, those cards, same with like Deadly Rollick or whatever, this deck should have all 3 of those. They're so fucking good. They're so insane. They're an auto include in every deck. Maybe one day I'll get them, but I don't find them fun. And if I can save $40 and also be like, yeah, I just don't like that they're not fun and that they're like uninteractive and uninteresting and just they feel cheap to me. I don't like those cards. I don't like that they decided to print cards that are free for your commander that are so powerful and integral to strategies, but that's a different conversation. Next up, kind of a niche one, kind of a big, I love this card. This card, honestly, this one is the one that like maybe could come out of the deck the most. And this is from, I just love this card from Standard. But this card fucking puts in work. Like it's I'll say on paper, this card does not seem that worth it and does not seem that good. But the flexibility it offers, every time I play it, I'm so happy with it. Every time it's 5 mana for an instant where you choose to counter target non-creature spell, return target permanent to its hand or owner's hand. Target creature gets -3/-3 or destroy target planeswalker. The amount of time I have destroyed a planeswalker that was going to win the game, that hasn't happened in like fucking 10 years. Let's be honest. It's been a while since planeswalkers were good in Commander. But usually this is countering a kill spell or countering a spell that's going to win the game or kill T-Lord and bouncing a blocker or killing a blocker or killing a creature. It's dealing with so many threats at once. It's a lot of mana. 5 mana is a ton. But this card is always a powerhouse. I've always been so happy when I've played it. Dispel. I think Dispel should be played way fucking more, honestly. Counter target instant spell. That's it. Just instant. Instants are so much more played than sorceries. They're just more powerful. The instants are so powerful. Instants are what Magic is all about, right? Instant speed interaction. Most things that are going to interact with, kill your T-Lord, kill your Torpor Orb, fuck you up in some way, most of them are going to be instants. This is a protection spell at its finest. Next up is Negate. Counter target non-creature spell. Just good, simple, classic. We play Negate, Dispel, and Counterspell. Just classic. I don't want to play too many counter spells in this deck because then it's a combo deck. You're supposed to be being aggressive. You're not supposed to, or at least sculpting. 6 counter spells is what I play. I don't think you need more. You don't want to overload counter spells in this deck, in my opinion. Not that I love counter spells. Not that you don't, need to or whatever, but I don't think it's as good. It's plain and simple. Card draw. I like fun card draw. This deck used to have Phyrexian Arena, which I think if you're gonna play, I think Phyrexian Arena has been power crept pretty hard. If you're gonna play Phyrexian Arena in a deck, I feel like it's probably this one, honestly, because you want to kind of just sit there and do nothing and not be a threat for a few turns, so you don't mind like playing it on turn 3 and then by turn 6 you've drawn 3 cards and paid 3 life and paid 3 mana. But then it's like, is that even that good? Like I think Standstill is much better. Once again, this deck wants to just chill and play lands for the first few turns and maybe tutor and sculpt resources, but Standstill's a fucking sick card. And it's political. 1 in a blue, Standstill, enchantment. Whenever a player plays a spell, sacrifice Standstill. If you do, each of that player's opponents draw 3 cards. You are drawing 3 cards for 2 mana. All of your opponents, except for one, is drawing 3 cards for 2 mana. No one wants to pop this. Every time I play Standstill, it's always you're just sitting there playing lands for like a few turns until someone could pop off, or someone just pops it instantaneously and says, fuck it, I want to play my Soul Ring turn 1, and just pops it. Like, this card is so fun, and I don't think I've ever popped it, maybe once personally. It's weird if you're in the lead, you don't want to play this, but usually you're not in the lead. Usually you're not in the lead. This deck is about being behind for the first 6 turns and then popping off. Dig Through Time, weirdly, I've thought about taking out of this deck. This deck is not that great at filling the graveyard. I'm going to be super honest. So the Delve is not as good as it should be, but I also just love Dig Through Time. It's very nostalgic to me. Khan's one of my favorite sets of all time, this era of Magic. 6 and 2 blue, Delve, so you can just exile 6 cards from your graveyard, pay 2 blue mana, look at the top 7 cards of your library, and put 2 of them into your hand, the rest of the bottom library. So you're drawing 2 cards for 2 mana often, you're filtering through a lot of those cards, you're looking for Torpor Orb, looking for Tutors. This deck needs to filter through things, right? So Dig Through Time just does a lot of what it needs to do. Serum Visions, this should be a Ponder. If I played more fetch lands, it'd be a Brainstorm, but this should be a Ponder. All my Ponders are just in Legacy decks. I don't have any extras, I don't think, right now. And I wouldn't want to play... I do have an extra Brainstorm. I probably could put a Brainstorm in here just because I play so many Tutors and I play so many... I probably shuffle my deck enough, so this might get replaced honestly by a Brainstorm, but it's a little... You don't want to get Brainstorm locked in Commander. Brainstorm is not nearly as good in Commander as it is in a format like Legacy, which I love very much, but it's very, very different. Treasure Cruise. Once again, I don't feel like I fill my yard enough, but this card is so good when it's good. It's literally Ancestral Recall when it's good. It's 7 in a blue Delve, banned from Legacy type cards. So I think that's a big part of it. I like being able to play these in a format is so fun, I can't play this in Legacy. It's banned. It's too good. Delve, draw 3. It's often 1 blue mana, draw 3 cards. This card, Ultimate, underplayed cards, beautiful, perfect draw spells. I would play this over Phyrexian Arena like every day of the week nowadays. Like if you're 3-color black deck and Commander, you probably play this card's fucking great. I remember this card was printed. My buddy played it in Miracles, like Esper Miracles or Esper Control in Legacy, and it honestly fucking was amazing. It honestly popped the fuck off. 3 mana sorcery. You draw 3 cards and you draw X life and lose X life, where X is the number of colors you spend to cast Painful Truth. So if you're a 3-color deck, you spend 3 colors to cast it, you draw 3 cards, you lose 3 life for 3 mana. That's pretty damn good. And you get those cards now, unlike Phyrexian Arena, where you have to wait, turns and turns and turns for them to eventually get into your hand, right? All right. We'll get to the land base last. We have a lot of cards to get. Thank you guys for your patience. Hopefully you've enjoyed. I love the idea of doing in-depth deck text like this. I think a lot of content creators, and this is not a disrespect towards them, it's just different, right? I think this could be my niche, different style of content where I do hyper in-depth rambles and walkthroughs over decks that I've played for 10 years because I have the experience, right? I've done it. A lot of content creators, I think, are looking to promote or they're trying to show players fun ideas and fun. It's always the next thing, the new thing, right? I'm not great at always moving on to the next new thing. I like grinding and honing and practicing and trying to get good at the decks that I enjoy, right? I feel like a lot of Magic and this is a whole other ramble in a different video, but a lot of Magic and a lot of gaming nowadays is, what's the next new game? What's the next new update? And I feel like people just play a game for 2 or 3 days and then just move on. And it's like, what are we... If that's fun for you, more power to you, but I feel like we're chasing the dragon more than ever right now in video games and in card games, and it's always the new next set. It's Final Fantasy, and then the Avatar, and then Spider-Man, and then, always the next set. Dragons of Tarkir, like Aether Drift got passed over in 2 weeks, and it's hard to appreciate the things we do have, right? So anyways, Arcane Signet, 2 mana, artifact, add 1 mana of any color. It's just a nice 2 mana rock. Arcane Signet. I believe they said like they wouldn't want to print that card again because it was so good. So yeah, pretty good. This is just a little bit of, this is like most of what you're doing in your early turns. This is my mana rocks, ramp, acceleration. Is it Signet? Simple stuff. This fits as your mana. You are 3-color. You have a fair bit of mana restrictions. It's good to, have that access to multiple colors. Leaden Mirror, 2 mana. I happen to have a foil, I guess, over years. 2 mana for artifact, 1/1, adds a black. Important. I used to play each Grixis mirror, like the black one, the red one, and the blue one. I slowly took them out over the years as the ramp was less important. What I would do is, it's important to have, the reason why I do mana dorks a fair bit in this deck and not just like signets and art, because you can sacrifice these to play T-Lord. Not only are these, mana acceleration that has summoning sickness, so it's less good than something like Arcane Signet or another Signet, right? By default, but in T-Lord specifically, it helps you play T-Lord. So if you wanted to play more of the mirrors, you could. They're a fair bit slow, and you really just don't want to be sacrificing creatures to T-Lord. Like it is a last resort sort of thing. I still play the Leaden one because I have a foil, and the black mana is the most important. Never forget that the black mana in T-Lord is the most important. Next up, for that regenerate cost, Mind Stone, draws a, you can add a mana, you can draw a card later in the game, pretty simple, little mana rock. Liquid Metal Torque, this is a beautiful card that cannot be slept on. 2 mana, adds a colorless mana, or you can tap it for free, target non-land permanent becomes an artifact in addition to its other types until end of turn. Sometimes the amount of times your opponent overloads, I'm forgetting what it's called, I'm so sorry. It's like the classic Vandal Blast overloads, is that what I'm thinking of? Overloads Vandal Blast, like does something that destroys all artifacts but doesn't destroy all creatures, or destroys all, or this being able to turn another non-land permanent, being a mana rock, and then also being able to possibly kill something is just so insane. I have Rakdos Charm in the deck, which one of the modes of Rakdos Charm is destroy target artifact. It's very often where I will tap this, target a commander, target a creature, target, something, turn into an artifact, use Rakdos Charm, kill it, right? So, Soul Ring. Do I need to talk about it? It's really good. It probably should be, if we're going to ban Mana Crypt, we probably should ban Soul Ring, but yep, another video. Goblin Electromancer. I mean, my take is just unban them both, but, Keck W. Goblin Electromancer, a blue and a red, Goblin Wizard, cheapens your stuff. Instant and sorcery spells cost 1 less. On a body, so it's accelerant that's on a body, you could sacrifice to T-Lord if you need to. This is Dark Ritual, 1 black mana, adds 3 black, instant speed card. Dark Ritual, honestly, it's so good in this deck. Sometimes, like, a lot of times in T-Lord, you just need that burst of mana, and Dark Ritual gives you that burst that you need to get off the ground. Ooh, talk about an underrated card. Maybe the most underrated card. It sounds insane. This is like top 10 underrated cards in Commander right now. I don't see these played enough. I don't know why it's so cheap. I want to buy more of them. God damn, this card is good. Let me explain why. 2 and a red for a red only, so 3 mana for an artifact mana rock. That's not great, but as Cursed Mirror, but it's like fine. It's like not good, but it's not terrible, right? When Cursed Mirror enters the battlefield, you may have it become a copy of any creature on the battlefield until end of turn, except it has haste. Any creature. You can turn this into, you shouldn't need a Crater Hoof in this deck, but you could turn it into a Crater Hoof and get that effect. If they ever unbanned Prime Time, you could do that. Any insanely powerful ETB, any insanely powerful commander. The fact that this can turn into any creature on the battlefield is just insane. The fact that it's a creature for the turn that it comes in, so you can sacrifice it to T-Lord, unbelievably relevant. Sometimes you don't need the extra mana rock, you need the extra creature to sacrifice to T-Lord, give him to play. Hyper relevant for this. The fact that you can copy your own creature. You never want to copy T-Lord, because obviously legendary rule, you would never do that. But the fact that this is a mana rock that can also be a creature for T-Lord, that also can just win you the game or do stupid shit, or maybe your opponent played like a Zealous Conscript. That's the card I'm thinking of. The 5 mana red card, that red creature, 5 mana 3/3 that active treasons a creature for a turn. You could play this, copy the construct, Zealous Construct or whatever, steal a creature from your opponent, and then sacrifice it, and this to play T-Lord. So there's some crazy stuff. It's so fucking good in practice. Please play more Cursed Mirror. Alloy Mirror. I played a Maelstrom Wanderer. It's bonkers to copy the giant creatures that come with Maelstrom. Alloy Mirror, kind of a weaker card. Definitely a weaker card in this deck. 3 mana for a mana dork. Whew. 3 mana for a mana dork. Add 1 mana of any color. It's a 2/2 mirror. This could get cut. I like the mana fixing. It's been in the deck forever. It's just comfy. That's it. There's no logic reasoning for that one, to be honest. Next up, let's cover Interaction, kill spells, board wipes, etc. Obviously, we've already covered this. Please play interaction. This is like a hyper. This deck needs so much interaction. It needs so much interaction to like properly function. Because people are gonna fuck you up, and you gotta be smart, etc., etc. Not that I'm particularly smart to pilot this deck. It took me 10 years. Okay, I'm not trying to say when I say this deck is like smart to play. It's not because I'm smart. It's because it took me 10 years to learn a deck that someone else could learn in a month. You know, etc., etc., or less, right? My beautiful Innistrad, it's not expensive, original Innistrad foil Blasphemous Act. I think it's like $5. It's not expensive, but I love it, man. I love this foil Blasphemous Act so much. I think it was a gift from a friend, which is why I love it so much. Yeah, it's a great board wipe. It's a great, cheap board wipe. You're almost always going to be paying 1 red for it. It's 8 in a red, but it costs 1 less for each creature on the battlefield. It deals 13 damage to each creature. I often will play this and then play T-Lord after, or you could just fucking play this, or like go to combat, attack with T-Lord, right? Main phase 2 or main phase 1, play Blasphemous Act, kill everything on the battlefield, regenerate T-Lord. You have regenerate. You want to look for board wipes that I only play the one. You don't want to be controlling the board as T-Lord. It's not your job. You want to just you're trying to kill people as fast as possible. The longer the game goes, it's probably the worse for you, but you want it to be like a medium length game. You're looking for like a turn 5 to 8 game with T-Lord. If you're past turn 8, some other big deck is probably beating you, you know? Murderous Cut, just really good efficient removal. What's another delve spell? I probably need to add like more graveyard fueling stuff. As I'm making this video, I'm noticing the amount of delve stuff I have. Delve is so good, but just often 1 black mana, destroy target creature, lets T-Lord get through, kills creatures, etc. Another class, this is like an outdated card that when I got this card, it was a huge upgrade for the deck. Oh my god, Hero's Downfall, like a $5 to $10 card, backed in Theros Standard. This card has been power crept to the moon. 3 mana, 2 in a black, instant destroy target creature or planeswalker. Whew, expensive nowadays. Nowadays, we have Feed the Swarm, 2 mana, 1 in a black, destroy target creature or enchantment an opponent controls. You lose life equals to the permanent's converted mana cost. Sorcery speed, though, but just some removal. Get rid of like a humility or some dumb enchantment it's hurting T-Lord. Tragic Slip, great card. Morbid triggers if someone kills T-Lord and you regenerate him. So if T-Lord dies, Morbid is still triggered. Morbid is if a creature has died this turn, it does the Morbid effect, the -13/-13 instead of -1/-1. I believe that's correct. I could be mistaken, but I believe that's right. Rakdos Charm. This card's a banger. I think every Commander player loves Rakdos Charm. I've taken it out of the deck once and immediately put it back in about a week later. This is one of those cards you could take out, put back in, you just miss it. You exile, it's 2, 1 black, 1 red. Instant. There's 3 different modes. You exile all cards from target player's graveyard, which is really good in certain matchups. Destroy your artifact, which is really good in certain matchups, plus Liquid Metal Torque. Or each creature deals 1 damage to its controller. Winning with Rakdos Charm is so fun. There's a few cards in this deck where like if your plan goes to absolute shit, like if something happens where they've exiled your Torpor or like you just can't get T-Lord into play for some reason, like it's pretty easy to shut this deck down. Like a control deck is probably this deck's worst nightmare. But too many people are too afraid to play control on Commander, sadly. Play more control. I think it's awesome. It's not good in Commander. Like it's really hard to play control in Commander because you have to control 3 opponents, not 1. So you can't play 1 for like counter spells are much worse in Commander because we know this, whatever. If you're countering someone's spell, you can't leave up mana to counter 3 spells. That's way more difficult versus and that costs 3 cards and yada yada yada. But that is this is like, I call this like this is like technically flexible, but this is like kill spells and board wipe and interaction. You don't want to play too many of these. You have to focus on your own game plan, but I think you got to have at least 1 board wipe in each deck. I think Blasphemous Act is a great flexible one. And then we play 5 pieces of spot removal. Well, this is technically more like 4 pieces of spot removal for the most part. Next up, these are cards that are self-sustaining is what I call them, and they kind of just do their own thing. They're not really synergizing or interacting with the rest of the deck too much, and I'll explain why, or just go over each one. They don't really fit in any of these other categories. In good old Insurrection, 5 mana, triple red. Untap all creatures and gain control of all creatures. They have haste, so this is just taking the, instead of killing the whole battlefield, I'm just going to take everybody's creatures and hopefully do enough damage to kill everybody. Maybe sacrifice them to T-Lord. Probably not. This is 8 mana, but this is a, hey, my like snake in the grass strategy didn't work. T-Lord got killed 50 times. Fuck it. I still have one other way to win if that strategy doesn't pan out, you know? Bolas' Citadel, I haven't played too much with this card in the deck. I'm going to be honest. I just love this card. I love that it's played in Vintage. I love that it's a powerful card. Is it powerful in this deck? I don't even know if it is. I'm going to be super honest. But it's fun. I want to play. I think I've only played it in a paper game one time. So I want to play test it more. This just could come out. 3 and 3 black, so 6 mana. You may go to the top card of your library at any time, and you may play lands and cast spells from the top of your library. If you cast a spell this way, you pay life instead of its mana value. This just, you can just combo off and do some crazy shenanigans. You can also tap it and sacrifice 10 non-land permanents. Each opponent loses 10 life. This is not ever going to happen in this deck, honestly, for them maybe once, but like it's pretty rare. I don't know why people stopped playing Archfiend of Depravity. I don't see this card anymore. Maybe it's a little mean, but I think it's fair. It's a 5 mana, 5/4. It's very fair in my opinion. Well, it's repetitive. We'll get to it. 5 mana, 5/4 demon creature with flying. At the beginning of each opponent's end step, that player chooses up to 2 creatures and sacrifices the rest. This hoses go wide strategies with which notoriously like T-Lord struggles with. A few of the things like a lot of the main hate here is like the Insurrection, the Silent Arbiter, the Archfiend, and as well as like the Blasphemous Act and a few other things. And like Rakdos Charm. There's a few things that I'm trying to like specifically go wide tokens fucks me because they can just infinitely chump block T-Lord all day if it doesn't have trample, right? Which is often a problem. So hosing them a little bit, slowing the game down, making it so each player has to sacrifice down to 2 creatures only. When you're playing Voltron, you only need 2 creatures. I played this card more fairly for probably 8 years. I didn't know that it said at the beginning of each opponent's end step. I thought it was at the end of each player's. I was playing Archfiend of Depravity and sacrificing my own creatures at end step if I had like an extra lead in me or whatever, because I thought that's how the card read. I was playing this in even a more fair way. People will hate you for this card. Sometimes it depends, like, because they can't build their board. People don't like that you can't build your board with this. So this is a little bit of a hate bear. Hate 5 mana drop. Lol. Silent Arbiter. This card was like 25 cents, 50 cents for so long. I'm glad it's finally getting its acknowledgement in Commander. It's so interesting. A 4 mana, 1/5 creature. There are games where, let me read what it does. No more than 1 creature can attack each combat. No more than 1 creature can block each combat. Perfect for a Voltron deck. You only need 1 creature. You don't want more than that. You're slowing your opponents down while also hurting their blocks, while also helping T-Lord, right? There's been games where I've had nothing going on. I can't play T-Lord, no tutors, no card draw, no Torpor Orb, no nothing. And all I have in my hand is a Silent Arbiter, and he stalls the game for long enough to where I can come back and win. He is pretty crazy and self-sustaining. The other 2 cards you talked about are these 2. Trading Post, really inefficient card, but it just does everything that this deck wants to do. You can pay 1 and discard a card and gain 4 life. I have done that once, I believe, to gain enough life and I put Seize the Day in the graveyard as well as gained enough life to like live 1 more turn to kill my opponent, to do double. Like that's come up like 1 time, but you're almost never doing that. You can pay 1 life to put a 0/1 goat on the battlefield. That is hyper relevant. It's 4 mana to play and then 1 mana to activate each turn. That is hyper relevant. Sometimes it's a slow game. You're playing Trading Post. You're using 1 card to create 2 goats to sacrifice to play T-Lord, right? Sometimes that's the game plan. It's pretty rare, but sometimes that's it. I've definitely sacrificed it to draw a card and like draw into like a last chance or draw into an insurrection or draw into like, a last minute thing. This is also probably the goat creation and this that are the two main modes. 1 and tap, sacrifice a creature, return target artifact from your graveyard to your hand. You need to be able to return Torpor Orb. That's your main thing, dude. That's what you gotta do, dude. Like Torpor Orb is really important. You can also grab Silent Arbiter back if someone kills that, for example, or Liquid Metal Torque or something like that, or a mirror. But usually this card can in 1 card pay a life, create a goat, and then next turn sacrifice that same goat to get Torpor Orb back, or just create 2 goats to play T-Lord, etc., etc. So yeah, it's stayed in forever, whatever, for always. Like, now this card is more fun. This card is more fun than good. Necropolis Regent, 3/3 black, 6/5 vampire. When a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, put that many ++ counters on it. If T-Lord is swinging in for 10, boom. Now he's a 20. The annoying thing is the math. He's like a 20 power, 14 toughness creature now, right? Because you add the 10 counters, but his toughness is 4, so it's like wonky or whatever. But this card is more fun than anything. And the important thing is honestly that it doubles itself. It's really nice that I can play if T-Lord is not working. There's been at least 1 or 2 games where T-Lord got fucked. I play a Necropolis Regent. I attack in for 6. I make her a 12/11. I attack in for 12. I double, and I've won the game. I've won at least 2 games just off of this card, and they didn't have interaction. They use it all on T-Lord. So having like solo cards that can just win the game or self-sustain is really, really important. In Commander, I feel like a lot of the times you're trying to get value out of the amount of cards, right? The amount of cards. So next up, we just have the boring stuff, the easy stuff, the land base, right? I don't know my exact land count off the top of my head. It's probably a little bit lower for this deck. A lot of my curve is pretty low. If I were to guess, I would guess that I play around 36 lands, maybe 35. That's including MDFCs and stuff like that, as well as obviously I have a fair bit of accelerant. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 cards that I would consider accelerant or ramp. And then I probably play anywhere from like 34 to 36 lands. That is including MDFCs. You don't always want to count MDFCs as a land. MDFCs are weird. I feel like you almost want to count them as like half a land, right? That might be like the proper math, or like 0.4, or like, because there are some MDFCs you often want to play as a land, but then sometimes they're good as a spell. There's also MDFCs like Waterlogged Teachings, which you most of the time want to play as a spell, but can play as a land if you need. So it really depends. Let's do the basics really quick. Some beautiful old, I have some beautiful old foils, but not fully, unfortunately. I think it is just 3 swamps, 2 islands, 2 mountains. There you go. The mana base is pretty budget. I'll be honest. I don't have surveil lands. I don't have fetch lands. I don't have duels. I save all those cards for legacy for the most part. If I wanted to swap them in, I own a lot of the cards. I could do it. I don't really. It's Commander. It's fun. I don't need the most perfect optimal land base for Commander, in my personal opinion. But if you want to do that, if Commander is your main thing, you don't also play Legacy or other formats, more power to you. This is all man. I separated as basic lands, utility lands, and then mana fixing. So let's just cover the mana fixing. I mean, it's not a perfect mana base. I wouldn't even follow what I'm doing here. Like Evolving Wilds, Sulfur Falls, Shivan Reef, just cards that I have. I do play bounce lands. Bounce lands, I will say, might be the most relevant thing to talk about in this deck, because surveil lands would be really good in this deck. They're just really good, right? Bounce lands are really good because they do 2 things. They save you cards, right? So like if you keep a 2-lander or a hand with 2 lands, and your 2 lands are Swamp, is it Boilerworks, that's really good, right? But because you essentially have access to 3 mana in 2 cards, you're playing the Swamp, it's slower, which does matter for a lot. Like if you're playing on curve, that matters. This deck does not play on curve at all. It's a combo deck that you play everything out when you have the sculpted combination, right? You're not playing this deck as like as a value deck on curve. Not at all. You're sculpting and you're playing slow. So Evolving Wilds, Sulfur Fall, we covered that, Shivan Reef. But the bounce lands are really relevant for card advantage, cards in hand, and they do the political thing, appearing not as a threat, right? There's so many times in Commander, I'm sure you've done this as well if you're watching, right? Like how many times have you glanced around the table and saw, oh, Jimmy has 8 lands, Billy has 7. Oh, man, Timmy over there only has 4 lands, right? But maybe 2 of those lands are bounce lands, and they tap for 2 mana, and you forget that. I feel like that happens a fair bit. Okay, so Temple of Deceit. We're playing temples. It's budget. They scry. It should be surveil lands, but screw it, we ball. Bounce land. Once again, I really, really value the bounce lands in this deck. So bouncing, sometimes the deck is slower for the first 5 to 6 turns. Sometimes just bouncing the scry lands to play them back down to scry again to get more card advantage would be way better if it was surveil, is better. Reflecting Pool. Not breeding, that's a shock. That's the Simic shock. Reflecting Pool, just acting as a multi-mana source that adds 1 mana to your mana pool of any color of a land that you control could already produce. really good budget nowadays. I think it's still budget. Like, yeah. Dimir Aqueduct, Bounce Land. Path of Ancestry. This is like the new like tapped command tower, which is it's a fantastic budget option. Add 1 mana of any color and your commander's color identity. When that mana is to cast creature spell that shares the same creature type with your commander, scry 1. I think this only triggers on T-Lord because he is a zombie. He's a zombie. I don't know if there's a single other zombie in the deck. That's okay. If you're scrying 1, it's just a, basically a tapped tri-land. That's all it's meant to be. This is a terrible. These lands are not good. I do not recommend them. They are hyper budget, and then even then, I think there's still just better budget options. But these are the show lands, where it's when they enter the battlefield, reveal an island or mountain card. A lot of these don't have that type because we're playing budget lands, so I don't recommend these. But it's just, I'm not too stressed about the mana base in this deck. It doesn't need to be the perfect deck. I don't need to iron out every perfect detail, but I do want to have some fun, especially with the mana base. Crumbling Necropolis, just the tri-land of Grixis colors. Smoldering Marsh, the Tango land. Comes in untapped if you control 2 or more bases. We're going to flip. I just happen to have an extra Bloodstained Mire that, I just have this. It's really pretty, nice, cool. Command Tower, Filter Land, Tango Land, Spire Ministry. Pay 1 life, add a mana of any color if you control an artifact. There's a lot of artifacts you play in this deck. Torpor Orb, like your main piece, so you often can activate that. That's mana fixing. We'll get through that. Mana fixing, we've how many cards? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. And then basics, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. Let me count this. I do have MDFCs as well. 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35. 35, there's also some MDFCs in here to be fair, but I put in MDFCs in here that are often played as lands. That's how I organize them. And then there are at least 2 more MDFCs. So I'm probably like 37 if you count MDFCs. But yeah, that's another whole thing. Anyways, you want to be the lowest land count possible in this deck. It actually really matters to keep drawing fuel, but you also want to play lands for the first, few turns and have those bounce lands. Those bounce lands help that out a lot. All right. Flamekin Village. This is Power Crept. This should be Arena of Glory or Hall the Bandit Lord. This is just enters the battlefield tapped. You can reveal an elemental card from your hand. This deck used to play no elementals. Now I believe, at least plays 1 with that new, what's it called? The specimen. The specimen. Oh, is it not an elemental? It's a weird, never mind. That's insane. Anyways, I thought that was definitely an elemental. It's a weird, excuse me guys, my mistake. It's a weird. Flamekin Village. It's going to enter tapped 100% of the time. It taps for a red. You can pay a red, give target creature haste. That haste on a land is super nice. If you're going budget, there's no excuse. Play fucking Rogue's Passage, especially like in this. In a lot of decks, Rogue's Passage is a great card. It's so good. Yes, it's 5 mana. Yes, I know it's so expensive. It's 4 and tap the Rogue's Passage, so essentially 5 lands, right? Target creature is unblockable this turn. Rogue's Passage has won me more games in this deck than I can fucking count. It's so good. It's so more difficult to interact with that than a Cloak of Mist or an Aqueous Form or other, non-land permanents. Halimar Depths, it just is like the blue tap land that enters, and you can reorganize the top 3 cards of your library. Once again, digging is important in this deck. Buried Ruin, this is just budget Academy ruins. You can pay 2, sacrifice it, return an artifact from your graveyard to your hand. Gotta have that recursion for Torpor Orb. While we're covering that, let's cover Academy Ruins. This is Academy Ruins. You can tap for a colorless. It is foreign, so excuse me, but it's tap for a colorless, or you can pay 1 in a blue, put target artifact from your graveyard on the top of your library. It's not in your hand, I believe. It is on the top of your library, so don't confuse those with stuff like that. But it is, put target artifact from your graveyard on the top of your library. Academy Ruins. Torpor Orb recursion. Opal Palace. This is a mana fixing land, but it also does something very important for, once again, T-Lord. You don't play this in most decks nowadays. It's been power crept like to hell, but in T-Lord, it's still really good. You can add a colorless mana or use it to filter to add 1 mana of any color in your commander's identity, and when it enters the battlefield with +1/+1 counters on it equal to the number of times it's been cast from the command zone this game. So on your first cast, I believe you still get the +++ counter, right? I believe so. It enters the battlefield with a number of plus counters on it equal to the number of times you cast mechanisms in this game. I think it would count. It's entering, so it would count the cast. That's the cast happens before the enter. I believe you would still get 1 counter on it for the first thing. So that's really you gotta give T-Lord that 1 more power. It's really important. Blood-Soaked Insight. This is mostly just I believe, a Rakdos tap land. You're almost always using this for the MDFC side. Sorry, the camera does not want to unblur on this one. But yeah, this is almost always just going to be a tap land. But it's 5 and 2 Rakdos. This spell costs 1 less for each 1 life your opponent has lost this turn. Target opponent exiles the top 3 cards of their library. Until the end of turn, you may play those cards. If you cast a spell this way, any type of mana can be spent. It sucks that you still have to pay mana afterwards, instead of those being free. But if you swing at someone and you hit them with T-Lord for 10 damage, this now only costs 2 mana, right? So you could pay 2 mana and possibly get some card advantage from the top of your opponent's library. So it's fine. It is play those cards, so you can play lands, which honestly, like this to hit land drops sometimes can be relevant, but it's usually a tap land. Boggart Trawler, it is just graveyard interaction, 2 and a black, goblin, 3/1. When it enters, exile target's graveyard. Please have graveyard interaction in Commander. If you're not, you're trolling a little bit. I'm sorry. It's also just an untapped black. It could be a black source for 3 life. Pinnacle Monk. I believe this is I don't know if this one can be untapped. This one is, I think, enters tapped, or is it pay 3 life? No, this one you can pay 3 life. It is you can pay 3 life, have it be an untapped mountain or untapped red source. But if you're playing it as a mountain, you could do that, or it's 3 and 2 red. And when it enters the battlefield, you return target instant source from your hand. So you can get Stifle, you can get Trick Bind, it's recursion, you can get protection, that counter spell to protect T-Lord, etc., etc. But often it's just a land. Bajuka Bog, once again, play graveyard interaction. Black sources are important, something important. Mishra's Factory. It's tough because I need the colors. You don't want to play too many colorless sources in this deck. I think Mishra's Factory is the best one, but you could also play the I can't remember it. I'm blanking on card names today, but there's many lands that animate into a little guy, right? So Mishra's Factory, you can pay 1 mana, and it becomes a 2/2 creature until end of turn, and it's still a land, but it cannot be tapped for mana. It has summoning sickness, so it can still be tapped for mana. But yeah, the nice thing is which is really relevant. It's not a tap to activate, which obviously in your turn creature makes sense, but you can tap this itself for the colorless mana, and then animate it with its own mana, and then cast T-Lord and sacrifice it. If you have too many lands, too much mana, and need a creature, it's a good backup. So that is lands. I think that's everything. I think that is, we finally did it. An hour. I didn't know if this video was going to be 8 minutes or 80 minutes. It ended, I should have said that at the beginning of the video, but I don't think I did, because it ended up being exactly 80 minutes. That's really fucking funny. I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope it was fun. I hope you enjoy long, rambly style Magic videos like this. If you don't, that's okay. You don't have to watch, just click off. Dislike if you really want to, but if you like this video, if you made it this far, hopefully you did. Otherwise, you just rage watch a video for an hour and 20 minutes. That can't be healthy. Good luck to you. Like the video if you enjoyed it. Dislike if not. Comment, feedback. If you play Lord of Tresserhorn out there, let me know, man. I have never met a single other person in real life, in paper, who also plays this deck. It's that uncommon. I've met not even a friend, but I've met a friend's friend who said that he had a friend who played T-Lord. That's as close as I've gotten, unironically. So if you play this deck, let me know. Give me your thoughts. What do you do? What's your deck list? Let me know in the description or the comments. It's really cool to interact with other T-Lord players, since he's such a cool card and a great piece of Magic history. Once again, just thanks for watching. Have a great day. I will see you guys later. Peace, Reno.